On this episode, we're going to talk to a doctor who's going to take us through what colic is and what are the causes and what to do when your baby is suffering from colic. And kindly, if you're new here, subscribe. That will be encouraging to our channel. Like, share, and comment. Thank you, Daktari, for joining us today. Yes, we are going to talk about colic, as I said, and kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Dr Moses Kihara. I'm a registered clinical officer practicing at Tinga Colic Dispensary.
My daughter had colic, and for the first 4 months of her life, she used to cry a lot. So when my daughter started crying, I had many ideas of what could have caused the crying. Many people said many things, and as a young mom who had little or actually no experience in motherhood, that was devastating. So until a few months later, when a cousin of mine talked to me about colic, she told me that her son had colic, and you can only manage it. So over the time, I've been thinking and wondering what causes colic and what can we do when our kids have this condition. So today we're going to learn what is not right and what is right about colic, and that's what we're going to get into. So, Daktari, what is colic? Does every child who cries mean that they have colic?
No, not that every child who cries has colics. Colics is a diagnosis of exclusion. That is when you've already investigated everything and you've found nothing. That's when now you come up with a diagnosis of colics. But the other definition is that if a child cries more than 3 hours a day or 3 days a week, that is also what we end up with a diagnosis of colics. In this instance, you'll find like there is a specific time that that child cries. It might be mostly evenings. That's when most parents come in with history of the child crying out and having irritability.
All right. So, how do you, uh, besides the examination, what are the symptoms that would tell us that a child has colic and not any other condition?
Okay, for the symptoms that you look for, there is no specific symptom that you look for. One of the things that will strike out is the child is usually irritable. They might be seen to be in pain, that is, they have assumed position, they are curled, or they are wriggling, and also very restless. So you end up with a diagnosis of colic by then, being suspicious of it before you really come up with a diagnosis of colics.
All right. So, what causes colic?
There is no specific thing that causes colics because it happens in a normal baby.
All right.
So the first criteria will be these are normal baby. The child is always fine, but on specific times they have these symptoms. They are very irritable. But from more research, we can classify that causes to what is related to the baby, what's related to the mother, and the environment. So basically, at the baby, when you look at the baby, there is a growing digestive system. This child is used to being fed through the umbilical cord. But in this instance, this child is breastfeeding. So usually that growing digestive system could be one of the causes. Secondly, most mothers breastfeed, but do they breastfeed well? Yes or no? That's something we cannot answer till we see the mother breastfeeding. So the attachment of the child to the breast might let in air. So just the way a tap, an empty tap is, and then there is water. Digestion of milk produces a lot of gases, so that gas will also be one of the causes of colics.
All right.
Yes.
So, as a young mom, I think when my daughter had this condition and she would cry at night, I think one of the effects, even without going further, is the depression because you're worried, you don't know what to do. And I could take my daughter to the hospital like once a week, and all I would tell the doctor is, "Mtoto wangu analia." So, and they would just tell me that whatever they prescribe for me, it may not heal, it may not take away colic, but it will help in management. So, what do we do when a baby has this condition?
Okay, the first thing to do is that we really have to say, is it colic or not? So go to hospital and let it get confirmed. So when a diagnosis of colic is made, there is no treatment for colic. But based on the cause, you're able to treat it. That is what I was saying. Basically, from the cause, you're able to treat. Because if there is poor attachment when breastfeeding, when you teach that mother how to breastfeed well, that colic will go away. Okay, the other causes, like what the mother feeds on, you're able to look at, because the child could be allergic to one or two things causing the same. You also, if she's able to avoid that, you're able to treat the same colics. So basically, there's little you can do about it as a person, but once you have had that, also the children get stress. So stimulation could be an issue. There's something that triggers them. That's why you're saying the evenings. Maybe there's some noises in the evening. But one of the approaches that is being looked at is what we call kangaroo mother, the skin to skin contact of the baby. It could be the father or the mother. So that gives the baby a reassurance that they are well. And it also treats colics and they become so peaceful.
Wow. So we're talking about months old babies, right?
Yes.
So does it occur? Would it reoccur when a child is prone, or once the whole digestive system is fully developed, and once they're used to breastfeeding in the right way, does that go away? And have you ever had cases where you have colic in older babies?
Not really. By 3 to 4 months, colics have disappeared and you don't have any other colics. So any other things presenting past 3 to 4 months won't be colics. But something to note is that in term babies, those babies born between 38 weeks to 40 weeks, it appears earlier, in the earlier days. But in babies born prematurely, it appears later. So for premature babies, you might find it persisting somehow past 3 to 4 months. But in term babies who have been born at term, they won't be having it in 3 to 4 months.
So we want to create a safe space in our YouTube channel where young mothers feel supported. And so we are asking, what are the tips that you could give a young mother, a new mom who has no idea of what to do, basics of motherhood that will prevent or even help the general well-being of the child? Some few tips.
So one of the few tips I'll give is that before you leave the maternity, make sure the nurse teaches you how to do correct position and attachment to the breast. Don't just leave, because that is the number one cause of colics most of the time.
Okay.
When they come and present and you ask them, were you taught how to breastfeed? They'll always say, no, or I don't know.
Okay.
Also, don't listen to myths that you hear, because there is the myth that the child is hungry because they're irritable. So don't do any mixed feeding. Just breastfeed the baby and breastfeed well.
All right. Yeah, about the meat, it's very important because I had so many reasons why my baby was crying. Others were really upset. So it's really important to get information from the right sources. Yeah, so what is your parting shot?
Don't panic when you get colics or a diagnosis of colic. It's something that will go away and it happens in a normal baby. So mothers, don't worry.
All right. So how about burping the baby? That's something that is usually one of the remedies that you hear. So does it help?
Yes, it helps.
So, guys, after you finished breastfeeding, it is important for you to hold your baby in this position, in an upright position, and rub gently on the back of the baby so that the baby can bulge, and that will help in taking out the excess air that has got inside the baby while breastfeeding. This will help in controlling colic condition. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have learned a thing or two. Until next time, kindly subscribe, share, comment, and see you next time. Bye bye.